We're doing a lot on sports tech. It's been mentioned a lot today. First session is all about Stadia. So to intro the panel, please welcome from Stats Perform, Simar Ghangas.
Thank you, Jasper. Good afternoon, guys. Pleasure to be here at Sports Matters and amongst friends. Today we'll be discussing, we've been waiting for this for about 1.5 years, fans returning, attending live sports events. One of the things that we've seen with our work with stadium owners like Bayern Munich and Chicago White Sox is stadium operators are adopting a lot more data, a lot more technology to increase the fan engagement of the fans that are attending these games. So we're here to discuss how is this sports tech helping improve the fan experience. Let's get straight into it. Joining us virtually from New York, we have Tinus, Roux, founder and CEO of Fancam and Crowd IQ. Good evening, Tinus. Thank you for joining us on your Sunday evening. To start, tell us a bit about your work with Fancam and Crowd IQ and how you are helping stadiums and arenas improve fan experience and understanding what the fans want.
Happy to do so. I'm just a bit disappointed that I didn't get any walk-in music like you got. So I'll need to sort that out with Jasper. But thank you very much for having me. There are two names there in terms of companies, Fancam and Crowd IQ. About 10 years ago, we figured out how to take really high-resolution images of crowds, and we've been doing that all around the world. We've captured more than 3,000 events, Super Bowl, World Series, UEFA Championship League Final, the list goes on. And if you haven't seen these images, it's essentially a 360 image where you can zoom in and find yourself in the crowd. And so if you spend a lot of time looking at crowds, then as we did, we found that there were lots of differences and similarities. And so being engineers, we thought, well, maybe we could use computer vision to analyze these images. And it turns out you can. And so for the past 5 years, we've been doing that. And that's Crowd IQ. And at Crowd IQ, we analyze these images and deliver demographic data and essentially crowd intelligence data back to clients. And so this is everything from what's the male-female distribution in your crowd, relevant to the previous channel. When are people in their seats? What are they wearing? So how many people are wearing home team merch, away team merch? And what's the attention? Who's looking where? How many people are looking down at their phones, up at the big screen? So that's what we do as a summary.
So, I mean, really interesting. So what are some of the interesting trends that you would have come across in the US or anywhere where this technology is being applied at the moment?
I think one of the most interesting things, specifically for the clients, is how young the fan bases are. Because, and this is typical of data, everyone talks about data, but you can get something like, you need good data. And so what happens in the sports industry, as many folks would know, is people buy tickets in groups, so in clusters. So I'll buy a ticket for myself and my 3 boys. The team would only have my information, so average age, 45-year-old male. But that's not the right information. So the high-resolution imagery gives you an opportunity to get a real idea of the age of the crowd. And crowds in the US are typically 10 years younger than the teams and the leagues think they are, which obviously changes the narrative to sponsors and others.
Okay. Apart from understanding the crowds, which is what you do, fans have returned big time in arenas where you are in the US across all the sports. Have you seen a couple of trends, or can you share a couple of examples of some really interesting ways the US arenas are applying technology to improve fan experience?
Yeah, I think we're one of many, but the whole concept of trying to understand your crowd better has been, it's been a bit of a revolution post-pandemic. I mean, we were doing this before the pandemic, but we can't stay ahead. And I think what happened there is that there was lots of sports during the pandemic. And so enough things to see on television, but still, the people I work with, people in ticketing, sponsorship, they lost their jobs. And so the focus, pandemic has helped the industry in the US, to my mind, focus on the importance of the crowd. And if you combine that with this growing understanding of the value of data, then it becomes very obvious. And so you can use high resolution imagery, you can use sensors, you can use multiple inputs, but this idea of getting a better understanding of your crowd and using that understanding to improve the the game day experience, to improve ROI for sponsors and improve ticket sales, is happening all around all the different leagues at the moment.
Okay, thank you. I mean, some amazing insights there, but now let's take the opportunity to sort of flip it and invite our second speaker. Joining us on stage now is Michael Henry, the Chief Technology Officer of the Singapore Sports Hub.
Hey, how you going? You well?
Thanks, Michael. Tinus, you're still the only one without the welcome music. Michael, a bit different from what Tinus is experiencing in the US, here in Singapore. I mean, events are due to return soon with the AFF Suzuki Cup in a couple of weeks, followed by potentially the Rugby Sevens, which has been a sort of a statement event here in Singapore.
Yep.
Can you tell us about how the Sports Hub intends to embrace, firstly, tech,
Yep.
or sports tech, to improve the fan experience for the fans that are going to be coming back into the stadium?
Yep, great. So I think, look, when Sports Hub was first built, it was fitted out with kind of leading edge kind of venue technology for that time. But I guess, you know, in the last 6, 7, 8 years, technology has moved on quite a lot.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of things around cloud, artificial intelligence, and all these things that can really start to, I guess, enhance the way that we engage with our fans and provide some experiences.
Yeah.
So we're really looking to, I guess, leverage this technology. And with technology, it's always important to remember that tech is around creating a difference, and it's around making it kind of purposeful. So, you know, we're really focused on 3 main areas. One is to ensure that we can engage our customers and connect them to Sports Hub, kind of when they're not actually at the stadium or at the actual Sports Hub. The second one is really around when they do come to Sports Hub, it's around them feeling kind of integrated, and then they can find their way around the actual you know, stadium or the actual precinct, and they can, you know, see what the kind of latest deals are, and they can kind of pick and choose what they want to do in the actual precinct. And the third one is when they come to an event, is to make that event as rich as possible, yeah, and immerse them in that experience. So they're I guess the 3, I guess, kind of key lenses we're looking at. And look, we're partnering with different kind of government organisations and all the tech sector, kind of locally and internationally, to really drive this innovation. So we've recently partnered with the Singapore Tourism Board to do this kind of co-innovation, and we've gone to the market to really tap into the rich kind of tech ecosystem in Singapore, and to really see, you know, to help us build our first, I guess, part of the connected stadium. Yeah. And that so far is going really well.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I mean, Tinus mentioned this whole idea of taking, you know, stadiums taking the data and understanding what the fans required, what the age groups of fans, yeah, are, so that you can sort of target your fans better. What's Sports Hub's view on data in general?
Yeah, so we are very focused on data, but we're driven by experience, right? Yeah. So all the data that we're going to use, or that's kind of available, it needs to be able to be massaged and kind of curated to kind of enhance something. So we're really focused on getting data, yeah, and making sure that we can turn data into information. Because once it's information, then we can derive all our insights and we can make things there. And it's all about kind of contextualizing data. So getting data from different sources to create a richer experience for someone. And then once we get that next layer, we can start to make the data smart data.
Yeah.
And that's what we're really focused on, because smart data is actionable. Smart data you can do something with, you can learn something with, you can engage with. So I think in the tech industry, there's a lot of talk around data, and there's a lot of talk around, sensors and IoT and so forth. So there's a lot of data, but data's noise until you kind of filter through it and you can create something from it.
Yeah.
So really we are focused on our data, but we are driven by the experience to make sure all that comes together.
Okay, all right. I guess the next question plays into what's going to be coming up in the near future, and of course, sporting events next year.
Yep.
Fair to say, COVID-19 extremely challenging in Singapore, extremely challenging all over the world. But of course, our restrictions for the short term appear to be sticking around. So, how do you see Sports Hub adapting or adopting technology to help tackle issues like social distancing, mask wearing, queues at concession stands, etc.?
Yeah, look, firstly, we're very excited to start to welcome everyone back. I think it's been a long time coming, and I think us and the extended team is really excited about having people there again. So I think when we talk about technology around COVID-19, it's around the ability to kind of augment our on-site staff and making sure that they have the data available and that they have the information that they need to enable to make the place safer. Yeah. So we're really focusing on what we call kind of safe experiences and enabling us to start to use technology that we're starting to pilot now. We've got in our kind of long, kind of short-term roadmap, and really to ensure that we're able to detect where kind of crowds are gathering. We're able to get people from where they are to their seat quickly, and to make sure that we detect if a crowd's starting to form there. And then the app or the kind of technology can act in real time and make those decisions in kind of real time to say, okay, the most direct route is via gate 6, but gate 6 starting to get a few more people there, some crowds are going. So we recommend you go via gate 8. And the app then is able to talk you through that route from there. And then when you're in the stadium, it's around making sure people have the choice and that they're informed where things are as well. So having the ability to see, if they want to use the restroom, that we can detect if there's actually kind of queues forming in their restroom, and that they can make an informed decision whether they wait or they go to a further one, right? So it's just basically, I guess, kind of giving them that options and the information to make that decisions from there. And then the other one we're doing is really, like I said, kind of augmenting our on-site personnel, and using things like kind of crowd detection to make sure we understand if people are socially distancing properly, or if they're wearing their masks. And to, again, in kind of real time, is to let the ushers know that someone in seat, section 7, seat B, is not wearing their mask. And then the usher can go down there and, I guess, remind them that they need to wear the mask or something like that. So it's really just getting the data and the power to make sure that we come back and we welcome people back as safely as possible, and so they can enjoy the event.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, enjoying the event. Tinus, in the US, based on the same concept, have you seen any of the US arenas using technology to sort of enhance or manage issues relating to COVID-19 restrictions? Sorry, Tinus, we can't hear you.
Apologies. Yes, I have.
Technology.
And it is midnight. That's my excuse. So, and very much along the lines that Michael just described, very pragmatic approaches. And I think that's what, as an innovator, what is so exciting about this time. It's not just technology for the sake of technology or data for the sake of data. We have real problems that need to be addressed and solved. One of the examples I've been involved with personally is this mask detection you mentioned earlier. So we can use our technology to pick up if people are wearing masks or not. It just required some of our engineers to train new algorithms, and we feed that in in real time to the stadium. And exactly as Michael explained there, someone gets a buzz in the ear saying, this section has fallen below 85% of people wearing their masks, go sort it out. But everything in terms of flow of fans, a lot of people are using this type of data to try and make the experience better and safer.
I mean, the most important thing is, making sure, the most important thing is that live event taking place in the stadium. So how do you then go about managing technology so that it doesn't impede on that enjoyment of that event? Because that's what COVID has sort of introduced to us, that you can go and enjoy, but you have to do this before you go and enjoy. Very much like what we're here, you've got the room divided into two parts. So what's your take on where to draw the line between technology and enjoying the event?
So like I said, I think technology should augment the experience and create the experience to be richer. And to almost be in the background. There's a lot of technology now, especially around data and especially around kind of augmented reality and so forth, where you can really start to engage at a different level than you were before. And to make sure that it is seamless. And I think that a lot of the times when kind of technologists, and I've been in the tech industry for nearly 30 years, for a long while we focused on the technology, but now when we're focusing on experiences, it's sort of making sure that we learn about, what the individual wants, and having the ability to kind of personalize the experience, and to I guess kind of make informed recommendations for the event goer around certain activities. So just say, there's a goal that's scored, you get a pop-up on your app that says, would you like to look at the latest stats for that scorer, right? So it's not in your face, it's not, making sure that you are, kind of on your phone or you're kind of looking at things. It's there to, if you want, is to draw on the extra information. If you want, is to immerse into the experience more. But first and foremost is to sit there and enjoy the event.
Tinus, clearly in AI plays a role in the future of tech, because you're talking about managing or understanding thousands of fans in the stadium. Do you think that where do you see AI's role growing to reach in sports tech for fan engagement?
That's a great question. Honestly, I don't know. No, I don't think. I think the question is about. I'll go way around to answer this. I think this pandemic has given us the opportunity to reset sport. Now, everyone's not taking that opportunity, but what I've seen in the past is that teams, even really big teams with great names, don't understand their product. And the product, yes, it's the experience, but it's mainly the community. And it's getting people together. And the ability of sport or music to get people together, that is why you have a product. That is why sponsors want to be involved. And so everything for me plays off from that almost philosophical foundation. And if you take it from that, if you understand that is your product, then the game day experience needs to service that. Then the technology needs to service that. And then we get to AI. AI needs to service that. This idea of, and it's weird that both Michael and myself, we're technologists, and we're almost saying forget about the technology to an extent, not putting words in your mouth, Michael, but it really is true. Technology and innovation is not what we need. The technology is there. Understanding everyone in your crowd and exactly what they're doing, that's a solved problem. We don't need to innovate there. Where we need to innovate is on a leadership level, understanding how to use data to actually solve problems and how to apply technology in a way that services the product. But for that, you need a clear understanding of what your product is. And unfortunately, AI is not going to help you with that. Conferences like this might.
Okay. Thanks. Michael?
I fully agree, actually. I think artificial intelligence is still to see where it can evolve. But in terms of technology, it always needs a problem to solve, right? Or like an experience to create. So I think, one of the things that we have seen through the pandemic is that people want to be connected, and we are ready to reconnect again. And that's why we're sort of focusing on connection at a few levels. One is remotely, so you can connect to your friends. You can, if you're planning on coming to Sports Hub, you can almost kind of personalize your own experience, and to really make sure that you get the bonding of your group together. And when you all arrive at Sports Hub, you know where to go. And it's really using artificial intelligence and other technologies is to speed that process up, right? And it's to make that process easier. So I think AI will be there, but it's the business problem that we're wanting to solve, and it's the experience that we're wanting to create is what we're focusing on.
Yeah. Okay. From what I've sort of read online and seen, general consensus is that the fan engagement technology, stadium technology, is currently just scratching the surface. So this question is for both of you. What technology would you like to see developed or adopted over the next 1 or 2 years to greatly enhance that fan experience? I think, Tinus, start with you.
You're asking difficult questions for midnight. It's my first one. I'd like more of our technology to be adapted, obviously, but no, I think we still have connectivity issues at many venues. 5G can help there. There's a lot of fluff around 5G where it's just. Well, I think the use cases are going to be with self-driving cars and so forth. But in the stadium environment, it can really solve a problem. So connectivity is one of those things. Once again, because it ties back into the core of what the product is. And Michael referred to it there as connecting these groups. So anything that can help connect people, that can take away those barriers, is good. And connectivity is still, we shouldn't forget about that, because without that, all of these other things just don't work.
Okay. Michael?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the future of 5G, I think it's going to be very exciting. I think once we get it fully embedded and everyone's got the kind of handphones that are 5G enabled, it will open up a raft of possibilities that we can't even think about now. Yeah. So I'm very excited about the promise of 5G. We are really looking at adopting 5G at the stadium, with kind of a robust way to actually do it. And we're excited to sort of see where that takes us with some of our applications. In terms of augmented reality, I would like to see that become a little bit more kind of commercialized. I think that there is still a bit of a barrier with some of the devices and so forth. But if we start to again use 5G to deliver content, the ability to do kind of AR with your phone is going to increase. If we look at some of our suites that we have at the stadium, we're looking at things around kind of virtual technology and how we create experiences that are from the first person. So the ability, for example, to kind of simulate you running through the kind of players' tunnel and you're getting onto the stadium and you can feel the crowd roar and you can feel that. That's something that I'm really looking forward to, I guess, kind of bringing to life. But again, it does come back to connecting people to something, and you need to do that via device or via headset, which means 5G, which means Wi-Fi, which means that type of area. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you again, Michael and Tinus, for this wonderful and insightful discussion. We're ahead of time. Does anyone have any questions? Do we have any questions from online? Or does anyone have any questions for Tinus and Michael? Well, I guess not. So thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tinus. Tinus, enjoy your night. Thank you so much for joining us at midnight. Good night. Michael, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.